So today we are going to focus on learning how to not only cite evidence from a book, but cite what our sources are. Where did we get this information when we're researching? We did this a little bit before break with our last research project, but really I want to look at this in more detail. When you list your sources and you cite your sources, you need to follow a specific order depending on what kind of source it is. If it is a book from an online database, if that is, we'll move this down here, a book from an online database like Mayan, Epic, Arc Bookshelf, that's just an online company that has different books that you could choose from, kind of like an online library. If you cite a book from Pebble Go, that's different how you would list that. If you cite just a normal book where you got that as a source, that's different. And so as we look at this, a lot of you chose from Mayan, Epic, and Arc Bookshelf. So this would be the order you would do when you list where you got your evidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These things in order. If you can't find one of them, you just skip it. But first you start out with the author's name, but you do their last name, comma, first name. Then you'll put a period here. So this example, a book from Epic, it's Makajewski, comma, Sarah, period. The period means, okay, done with that first line. Now I'm moving on to the next thing, which is the title of the book and a subtitle if given. So Cesar Chavez is the title of the book. Then you put a colon in his own words. That's the subtitle. That's what's on the cover. Then you put a period because you're done with that. That was the title. Then you'll notice it says publisher of the book if it's given. In this case, it's not. We couldn't find it, so we move on. Next one is the name of the database, which in this case, in the example, is Epic. This next example is Mayan. Then this example is Arc Bookshelf. After that, you list the period again and move on to the next thing, the page numbers. List what page or pages you used, if that works, depending on how much information you got. If it's just from 1 or 2 pages, list where that's from. If it's just a handful of pages, that's helpful. And then you end with a period. This example is the same, although here we know the name of the publisher. Okay, the publisher of the book was Capstone Press. We didn't know that in the first example, but we did here. And then that is Mayan. The example, this last one, the Arc Bookshelf example, we did know the author, we knew the title, and we did not know the publisher, or we didn't list page numbers, just here the database, Arc Bookshelf. So you can see I'm giving as much as I can find when I look at the book. Now Pebble Go, if you use that, nice and easy. You just click on a tab at the very bottom of Pebble Go that gives a quotation mark and it says Cite. When you click on that, it's a tab that gives you this information, which it will give you this information, and you just have to copy and paste it. You'll notice here to cite for Pebble Go is the article in quotation marks. Their section is called biographies that they got this from. The publisher's Capstone, the website's Pebble Go, and accessed means what date did you go to get that information. And they list that because on websites it might change the content. So we need to know what day you were on there so that we know when you got that information. And if you're using a book, you simply just follow this order. The author's name, the title of the book, the publisher, the year of publication means print publication. When did they print the book? And page numbers. So you can see the example we have. Author, title, the publisher is known as Aladdin, that's the company, and then the year that it's published, okay, 1998. And then these are a review from when we researched for social studies, but when we did our World War II research, but the same thing, if you use social studies weekly, follow this order. Brain Pop, follow this order. I went over that before. Before we get to this, I wanted to quickly show you an example. If you were to go to Arc Bookshelf, for instance, and I go to Arc Bookshelf and I search for Cesar Chavez, I have this book here. They give the title, Cesar Chavez, Fighting for Farm Workers. I see the author here, And a lot of the time when you go to these books, it might actually give you the inside where here we have the author, we have the publisher right here, Capstone Press. We have, if we were to continue to the next page, we have when it was published. We have pretty much everything we need to know here. And so if we were to go back to our tab that has this, I've adjusted it to where now we know the author, we know the title with the subtitle, we know the publisher, and we know the database here. And so that's how you would list it. If you were to go to Mayan and search for one of your people, let's just do, for me, my library, Rosa Parks. And then you would choose a book. One thing I want you to look at is when you look at the info here of these books. Okay, this one right here says grades 1 through 4. I don't know if you actually take time to look at this. This info here, you click on it, grades 3 through 9. That one looks good. This one right here, grades 1 through 3, too easy. And then this one, grades pre-K to 2. So the only one that really works here is this one. And so I'll click on the info part, and I have here the publisher. I have, of course, the title. I am looking for if there's anything where it's the author, and if they don't give the author, that's because it's just written by the publishing group. That company just puts a handful of writers together. So if it doesn't say who it's written by, then you might not have an author. But then you could go to the title and see, do they start the book? Do they give anything? Well, right here, by Connie Colwell Miller, right here. And so you're really looking for any sort of evidence you can find to find the title, who it's by, who published it. And so that's the case with books, whether they're online or they are actual books that you get from the public library. Okay, so look carefully for that. The other thing I want you to look at is today what we're being asked to do is you are going to also add some quotes from your research. So if there is anything that is a famous quote that your person said that you think might be powerful or impactful, add that to slides 6 through 8, whether it's source 1, 2, or 3. And then also go back to the source slide where you got your information and use these slides today to beef it up, to fix it, to make it correct and actually list. You'll be getting a grade on did you list your bibliography, your cited sources correctly based on if you do a Mayan book, then I expect you to do it this way. If you do Pebble Go, if you do an actual book that you get from the library, okay? And then the last thing is you should have finished source 1 and 2 on Friday, hopefully, and some of you moved on to your third source. Today I want you to try to finish and wrap that up. So those are slides 16 and 17 for that to add. And so when you look at this, you are going to go back to slide 3 and fix the way that you listed the source, not just the title, but remember, you're going to make it so that it matches the way that we list it here, a little bit more detailed, the way that it's supposed to be, okay? Then, if you look on slides here, this is just what your source is, where it is, but you actually on slides 6, 7, and 8, those are quotes from source 1, 2, 3. Any sort of quote or something that is said by your person, your famous person that might be helpful in getting to know them more. And then finally, hopefully you've done sources 1 and 2. Source 3 here is slides 16 and 17. Add your details if you need to. Okay? So if there's any questions, let me know. But that is the plan for independent time today. Can't wait to see what you're reading and writing for ELA.